Alright, the game sucks, end the story.
But does it actually suck? I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit definitely reminds me of this quote.
Camo, that team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
Homer!
I thought it'd be fun to check out the game from a casual perspective and rank it against how it performs as a speedrun. Very often when I'm streaming on Twitch, people always ask the same question. Is this game better casually or as a speedrun? Well, why not analyze just that? And why not pick Roger Rabbit as the flagship? The game, well, as the nerd said, it actually does kind of suck. He's right. But does it suck less as a speedrun or as a casual playthrough? That's what we're here to find out today. I think, just jumping right into it, there's actually a lot of misinformation on the internet about Roger Rabbit. And it doesn't really surprise me, as each year probably one person plays this game for absolutely unknown reasons. A lot of people think that LGN made this game when it was in fact Rare. Yes, the same Rare who brought you classics such as GoldenEye 64, Battletoads, and the Donkey Kong Trilogy franchise. While I would like to believe the success of Who Framed Roger Rabbit directly led chronologically into each of these titles, the next developed game by Rare ended up being Jeopardy! Junior Edition. So yeah, any Jeopardy! Junior Edition lovers out there, you better count your damn blessings. I think to play Roger Rabbit, we need to first understand how Roger Rabbit works. So here's how it actually works. Understanding the game makes the game not exactly more enjoyable, but at least understandable. There's a search mechanic that you're going to be seeing a lot of, and a lot of people complain how tedious it is. And it is. The thing though is, it was coded pretty smart. You don't have to search every piece of furniture in every room for an item. As soon as you search one object, the game scans the entire room and all the searchable objects in it. This is bafflingly not mentioned anywhere in-game or in the manual, but it will drastically cut down how often you need to search. A successful search of the building will include one search outside, one search in each of the rooms inside, and a quick walkthrough to make sure that no items spawn on the ground outside or inside. You don't even need to talk to the various NPCs that spawn, but it does help if they're honest in knowing whether or not you need to be in the building. Excluding Eddie's Fist, there are 23 different items that you can find within the world of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. These items range from cigars to a 6-shooter, a portable black hole, and a wallet that you can use at stores to purchase other items, among other things. The items are essentially bloatware added by Rare to confuse the player. If you're playing this casually, you might think logically every item has to have a purpose, but at the end of the day, from all the items you can find in Roger Rabbit, how many do you think are actually essential to beat the game? 5. There are of course some items that make this process easier in a casual playthrough, like the rattle to disarm the snake, whistle to call the car, and the flashlight to see in the caves. But to beat the game, you're only really forced to find the spring boots, dynamite, detonator, 4 pieces of will, and a baseball. If you walk to the store northeast of Eddie's office after the game starts after grabbing the wallet outside, you'll always find the dynamite for sale in the store regardless of the seed within the first 75 seconds. So that leaves the pieces of the will left, detonator, baseball, and spring boots. The spring boots are tied to jumping over the instant death pits in the caves, where the flashlight is also ideal so Eddie can see what he's doing, and the rattle disarms the snakes. And the spring boots are always found in one of 4 locations in Los Angeles. They can also be purchased from the store during later cycles, but if we really want to be picky, you don't even need the spring boots, as Eddie can use random bats to spawn in the cave to hit him across the gaps, to collect the will piece, and also to avoid the pits. In regards to the more optional items that make this easier, the flashlight and whistle can be found within Los Angeles and purchased from the store, and the rattle can be found inside Los Angeles as well. Here are both stores and what they sell in chronological order, as the order is not random. The first shop, for reference, is northeast of Eddie's office, and the second shop is kind of more center in the middle and it requires a crowbar to break open the lock. The game is completely random when you push start in the beginning of the game, determining item spawn location, but despite item location being completely random, each item only has a pool of 4 locations it can spawn from. The RNG shuffles it around. Regardless of the RNG seed that you get, there will always be 1 piece of the will outside of Los Angeles and 1 piece of the will within inner Los Angeles. From there, the other 2 will pieces will always spawn somewhere in Toontown. The detonator will always be somewhere within inner Los Angeles, which leaves us with just the baseball to locate. Ugh, he's still with me? So the baseball will always spawn within Toontown, and that's it. So to recap, the dynamite, detonator, spring boots, 1 piece of the will, the whistle, the flashlight, and the rattle can all be found within inside Los Angeles. And 1 will piece will always be found outside Los Angeles in the caves. Toontown has 2 will pieces and a baseball, and every other item doesn't matter. Even the items blocked behind the instant kill animals that require cheese, meat, or fish bones can be found somewhere else or in the store, because there's always multiple different spawn points for items. Once you have all the items, you can access the factory north of Toontown to square off against Judge Doom. We just need to throw a baseball to distract the weasel henchman, and then, oh boy, Judge Doom awaits. Alright, you made it to Judge Doom. You found a 6-shooter, a freaking pistol. You have portable black holes, and maybe you duplicated all your items in the magic house southeast of Doom's factory and maxed out your inventory. How many items casually are effective against Judge Doom? Guess what? None! Nothing is. They all suck. I'll go into why Judge Doom is so bad in the speedrunning portion of this, but casually, this is one of the worst boss fights coded on the NES. Eddie has to punch Doom over and over at a certain power level in order to do any damage at all, and Doom takes forever to kill. There's no real way to do this fight, other than punch him over and over, ideally against the wall on the left side until he dies. Then, you have to grab the dip cannon from the truck to finally do Doom in. Final slap in the face that kills most people the first time playing through it, as it's not exactly evident that you need to walk over there, pick it up, and use it to finish Doom off. The last thing I can throw out there is the passwords in this game are very broken. Playing through the game is too cumbersome to find certain items. Here's a password for all items. It's really simple. DLV and then spam H's for the rest. Congratulations, Toontown is saved and remains in the hands of its rightful owners, the Toons. We don't even get to know who framed Roger Rabbit! Well then, that's set an incredibly low bar as a casual playthrough. How's the speedrun hold up? The term frame perfect often gets tossed around carelessly in speedrunning these days and referring to a hard trick when it's not actually frame perfect. Wait a second, let me pause this video. We're talking optimized Roger Rabbit speedrunning now. This upcoming start press, it is a 1-frame window. You need to push start on exactly the 935th frame. That's right, the speedrunner of Roger Rabbit starts off in a frame perfect. Further to that, each console has its own personal luck, so you might be sitting on the best or worst Roger Rabbit speedrunning console. There's no guarantee that even if you hit the proper frame, due to your console's luck, you'll even be able to start a run. From there it only gets worse, as you'll need a second controller plugged in holding up, right, select, and B as you hit and hold start on the first controller. Here's how mine is rigged up, and yes, I'm actually serious. Having this Frankenstein setup allows the player to manipulate essential items to spawn in specific locations that allow in a good run to beat Judge Doom in under 4 minutes. The death bounce is totally random, by the way. The game is completely random outside of manipulating the item locations. Oh, you're wondering how much randomness is in the speedrun? Well, let me tell you, pal. Let's check out the task video submission. Oh, Yep, that's nice. The task is 3:46, which isn't RTA timing, by the way. And what? Bro, in less than 4 minutes, there was 57,580 re-recorded inputs. I have no idea what that translates into RTA luck for an equal console time, but you probably have to run Roger Rabbit for the rest of your life. So, cool. Eddie has the whistle, which only has 5 uses, by the way, and we need to make our way over to the snake to do the exact same death bounce glitch and hope that the weasels, which also randomly spawn after the first one spawns for the rest of the run, as we're in the car, don't immediately catch us, but chase us for extra speed. Every time that the weasels spawn, we want to be in the car and have them ideally chase us as we're speeding away, because that's faster than driving normally, and driving normally is faster than walking on foot. Once Eddie wins the 50-50 on the snake bounce and bounces to the right, his dead corpse will quite poetically collect the wheel, and we'll need to rush to the south side of the town to pick up the last wheel piece in LA, and the detonator on the way into Toontown. Usually, a second weasel spawns on the drive to the south, and this one has a frustratingly high rate of capture. The weasels try to spawn per frame after the 9th siren, and often spawn directly in front of Eddie to immediately capture him and tell him terrible jokes that aren't funny. I think this is a good time to say shoutouts to Luca Jim. What's up, Luca? Every time a randomly spawning brown car hits Eddie driving, you lose time, and it's worth noting that the whistle sometimes doesn't work, and it's also possible to waste a whistle by accident by destroying the barrier with the detonator. I know what you guys are thinking by now.
Suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
But look, we're almost there. Once we bust open the wall, all that's left to pick up is the 2 pieces of wheel in Toontown and the baseball before squaring off against Judge Doom. In the current manipulated record seed, one of the wheel pieces is within the town just as you enter, and the baseball is located in the lower right quadrant of a cluster of small nearby buildings. The last wheel piece is conveniently located in a house at the end of a long drive north towards the factory to fight Judge Doom. Eddie just has to duck into that house for the final wheel piece, and we'll have all the necessary items to enter the factory and square off against Judge Doom. So we're back at Judge Doom. What makes Judge Doom so awful? It really doesn't matter if you get to Judge Doom in a playthrough or a speedrun, the strategy remains the same. Rhythmically punch him until he dies on the left side of the wall. I've been speedrunning since 2016, and without any exaggeration, Judge Doom is the absolute worst source of RNG I've ever experienced in a speedrun. All Doom needs to do is walk left and stand near the wall, but he'll walk around randomly, and if at any point in time Doom's body touches Eddie, Eddie will stop and lose his momentum, which forces Eddie to lose his power-up punch and he has to recharge. If you charge your punch too quickly, you'll go into a weird animation that leaves Eddie open to getting counter-attacked. If Judge Doom hits Eddie, the recoil is massive, and if Judge Doom goes into any attack animation, he has total iframes. If Eddie loses his charge at any point, it takes about 4 or 5 seconds to charge back up. The only thing that you want Judge Doom to immediately do is walk left, and he does that so rarely. I've had 3-4x attempts where he just stood still and punched me like 14 times and did nothing else. Judge Doom has no patterns, nothing. You just have to hope he cooperates. The only real difference between Judge Doom casually and the speedrun is the time it takes in which he dies and how much that it actually matters. But otherwise, the overall strategy is the same. The speedrun hopes Judge Doom goes left, and casually, you just wait for an opening, but you also eventually hope that he goes left. I think the biggest mistake that I see people make casually playing this game is playing the fight way too aggressively. Honestly, just try to punch Doom safely as much as you can, because if you're trying to just beat the game, there's no time limit until you need to pick up the dip cannon. Judge Doom is insane RNG, but you're always in control of the fight because he can't walk approximately half past the screen, so you can always wait and time your hits. It'll just take a while. What do we think, crew? What are your thoughts? To me, this is a really hard hill to die on and to pick one. Is Who Framed Roger Rabbit on the Nintendo Entertainment System better off as a casual long play or as a speedrun? I always like to imagine having 100 different people in a room and imagining the majority opinion if they had to vote. But I think in this case I need to readjust the example slightly. I feel it would be very hard to gather 100 different people in a room that willingly want to play this game casually or to speedrun it. So instead, imagine some kind of testicular crushing device, if you will. How many people want their ball sacks inserted into this ball sack crushing machine? I feel there's a lot of intentional pain you inflict upon yourself in choosing to play this game or to speedrun it. And hey man, I'm not trying to kink shame here. I get that maybe some people are into that. It's kind of a shame though, as Rare had some legitimately good ideas with this game. I've become a defender of sorts, if you will, after spending so much time with it. If the game was more enjoyable to return to, mainly the end boss, or if the items had more widespread usage or unique usage, and the gameplay loop wasn't as tedious as it is, I really think Roger Rabbit had unearthed hidden gem potential. You potentially had a game that you could return to over and over, and it was essentially a brand new treasure hunt each time that you loaded it up. I can see Rare's vision for sure, even though a lot of the execution fell flat. There's not much else like it on the NES, and there's a big stretch. I would honestly compare it to the Ancient Cave in Lufia 2. It's that kind of idea, just significantly worse. Like a whole lot worse. I really think the speedrun is like extremely hyper niche and specific. The more time that you put into it, the more fun it is in trying to make everything come together. People joke on my Twitch channel saying it's like a slot machine, but it actually is a slot machine. Pursuing the perfect and near perfect run in Roger Rabbit is a lesson in patience, but the appeal is massively there for me. Right now I have a 351 and I'm trying to push it down to a 3-4x. I think though, if I had to pick just one, this game wins as being the better casual playthrough experience for sure. I think more people would enjoy it on like a long play kind of level than any person would ever want to put the time and effort into learning the speedrun, since the speedrun is just extremely dumb in so many ways. Thanks for watching!